low fat containing diet. Take diet which contains more of omega-3 fatty acids. Take fish and take more of lentils. Decrease the protein content in acute kidney diseases and decrease the sodium content. So there is a prescription. Any medication should not be taken beyond the prescribed levels, and any medication should not be stopped beyond the prescribed levels or before the prescribed levels, unless otherwise there is an allergy or a reaction, and that should be consulted with the doctor who takes care of it. So anything in excess,
they are not concerned about how many samosas they eat.
right?
They are not concerned about how much biryani they have, okay, or they are not even concerned about how much curd rice they have. So hi, hello, and welcome to a brand new series of Fit Talk, where we will be talking about health, fitness, and wellness. Today we have with us Professor Dr. Anandha Sayanam.
Hi.
So he's a PhD in pharmacology. He's not just a postdoctorate in pharmacology. I mean, a doctorate in pharmacology. He also holds a degree in masters in human resource management, if I'm right. Okay. Apart from that, he has around 31 paper publications under his name, and he has 2 patents which are supposed to be out which are in its final stages. So, being a pharmacologist, his specialty is to correct the medication for the patients, ensuring that they have the right dosage, and altering their lifestyles in accordance to the prescribed drugs, and also altering their diet in accordance to the drug. Okay, am I right, doctor?
A complete customization of drug and diet for the particular patient with respect to their conditions. It's all customization.
Okay, so I've been very desperate to have this conversation with you,
right?
Because I'll tell you my perspective of medicine. Being a fitness trainer, so my understanding of medicine has evolved over a period of time. Because initially, being a typical gym rat, I was always under the belief, you become fit, there is no need for any kind of medication in your body, which I've changed over the years, because I had certain conditions like acute urticaria, wherein I was supposed to take prednisolone for some time. We can get to that later. The whole thing was, what I've understood about medicine is that anything, this is my definition, this is not a textbook definition, anything that helps a person to feel better from a condition that is keeping him ill is medicine, according to me.
Right.
And that can be from any source. It can be through a drug, it can be through food, or it can be through something even that is intoxicating. Okay. Because social media addiction or any drug addiction is to maybe forget some kind of pain, whether it is physical, psychological, all this is secondary. So according to me, this is medicine.
Okay.
Now I would like to hear from you, being a pharmacologist, what is medicine and what should a common man know about medicine?
Okay, medicine, to go by the definition given by specialists, any chemical or a product that is used to diagnose, treat, cure, or alleviate the symptom or signs in the body, that it could be a disease or a pain, or it could be fever, or whatsoever it. So anything that alleviates a symptom or a sign, or a product or a chemical that is useful in diagnosing a particular disease, or in curing a particular disease, or controlling a particular disease from progression, right? So all those things can be called as drugs.
Okay.
Predominantly in allopathy, all of these are chemicals that are made from various processes.
Okay.
When we talk of the other medicine practices, like say Ayurveda, Siddha, or Unani, those are derived from the natural process and from the product. They are used as it is as extracts, or they are converted into various substances with some chemical reactions or react. In allopathy, most of them are chemicals, and so we call them as drugs or medicine, man-made. And the things that are occurring naturally, or which we use as accessories, are called as nutraceuticals, or food supplements, we call them. So even if they are going to help us in alleviating a symptom or a disease, or helpful in diagnosis, then they can be called.
Okay, so I'm somewhat there with respect to my definition. Though I thought it is something that is very intuitive. Okay, so now with this perspective, I would like to shift my question into 2 to 3 different directions.
Right.
Number one, what is the difference between pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals?
Okay.
Okay. Number two is, in what way is the allopathic drug different from any other system of drugs like Ayurveda,
Right.
Unani, Siddha, and all that?
Right.
Okay. And number three is talking about over-the-counter drugs.
Right.
Okay. Because if anybody has a fever, the immediate thing is they say paracetamol.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I can talk about any particular brand or something, since
Right.
paracetamol is the generic name. I've just
Right.
told paracetamol. And in India, and this takes the question to another different perspective. So in India, the pharmacist is looked upon as a person. There are two perceptions of a pharmacist in India.
Right.
Okay. One, he or she is the proxy doctor.
Right.
Number two, he's just a person who's picking up medicines from the cupboard.
Yes.
So depending upon the affordability of the patient,
Yeah.
either he becomes a proxy doctor
Yes.
or they become a storekeeper.
Yes.
But whereas when you go abroad, when you're just traveling a few miles away from it, few thousand miles away from
Right.
India, the pharmacist plays a critical role in the allied healthcare system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, unless or until, if it is a drug that can be just bought out, you can just buy it out. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till the pharmacist comes. The
Yes.
doctor is only going to write the generic name
Right.
and he is going to prescribe.
Right.
Okay. So now can you help us in understanding the whole spectrum of different segments of drugs?
Okay.
And why is there such less importance to the pharmacist in India compared to the other countries?
Compared to the other countries, why pharmacists are less important here in India was a scenario till 2010. I can say that like that. And after 2010, the way the pharmacists have been looked upon has changed. The reason being, the Pharmacy Council of India bringing in a study course called as Doctor of Pharmacy. Like earlier, that there was only diploma in pharmacy, where only dispensing was the practice. Then came Bachelor of Pharmacy, where manufacturing was the practice. Actually speaking, the drug manufacturing companies were in R&D and other places where the drug development actually happens. The place of pharmacist is filled with a biochemist, a microbiologist, or other science-related people, because there was no right fit available. Now the pharmacist is gearing up towards that after completing his masters in pharmacy in specialized field.
Okay.
Plant-based pharmacy, phytochemistry, or pharmacognosy is there. Pharmacology, where animal studies are done with pharmacology. Pharmacy practice is what the human interaction is all about. Administration, customization of the drug therapy as per the individual patient. So this thing has started up from 2010.
Okay.
And there is a whole new lot of pharmacists called as Doctor of Pharmacy. They specialize and they study for 6 years.
Okay.
Pharmacology, pharmacotherapeutics, customization, drug counseling, drug interactions, and the complete customization to the core level. Like you took an example of paracetamol 500. Paracetamol 500 milligrams can be called as an antipyretic. Means it decreases the increased temperature and brings it to normal. Whereas when we talk of paracetamol 650 milligrams or 1000 milligrams, is going to be analgesic.
Okay.
It is a painkiller. So it is a dose dependent effect. Now, will that anti-inflammatory or the analgesic paracetamol of 650 milligrams, will it give an antipyretic effect or will it decrease fever? Yes. But predominantly it will act as a pain reliever.
Okay.
But 500 milligrams is not going to be a pain reliever, and it's going to be an fever reducer.
Okay.
Right. So this is how drug based there is a difference. But the same paracetamol is going to act in you in a different manner, in me in a different manner.
Okay.
Right. So based on the food that I take, based on my physical activities, based on other social habits of mine, my smoking, my alcohol consumption, I consume more of fruit juice, I take more fibers, I take more fats. So based on that, each and every individual is going to react in a different manner. Like it's like our thumb impression, right? So it's going to be different with every person. But now we have, fit formulations where we cannot go beyond it. So these pharmacists ensure that physically, psychologically, all these patients are going to adapt to what the doctor trying.
Okay.
So they remain a bridge between the doctor and the pharmacist and the patient, and then they are going to customize it and fit it for the patient. Okay. And in case any change is required, they discuss with the doctor. The patient faces a difficulty, there is a drug reaction, there is an allergy, the patient do not like taking the drug or whatsoever it, right? So that is all developing. Now coming to the next question, the difference between allopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, Siddha, homeopathy and all those things. Homeopathy is more of tinctures and various, formulations that are based on those tinctures. Again, Ayurveda talks about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and balancing those things in the body, and then more of massages and other things like Kapalbhati and all those things they talk about with the Nadi and other. Siddha is more about basmas, the minerals, making of natural products, and out of that they come out with the same Vata, Pitta, Kapha of what Ayurveda talks about. Allopathy, it is more accepted, more widely practiced across the globe because it is all documented. Whereas in Ayurveda or Siddha or Unani or homeopathy, the documentation has not happened that much. Like in the starting, you said I have got 31 publications. All that is in allopathy.
Okay.
Because we are all trained into allopathy, but there is an Ayurvedic pharmacy also.
Okay.
There are pharmacists who are now getting trained in Ayurvedic pharmacy and Siddha pharmacy too.
Okay.
So that is also coming up as a specialty. So more documentation happens, more it will get spread.
Okay.
One more thing which I will not call as a drug system is naturopathy. Now there is a course called the Bachelor of Naturopathy and Yoga Sciences, like BNYS. So they talk more about naturopathy, the things that have to be used naturally, curing naturally, and with various mudras and yogic postures. So that is also one kind of science that's there. And of course, yes, whatever we talk about, whether it is allopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, naturopathy, it's an exercise, it's food, it's nutraceutical, whatsoever it is all to be customized to fit an end. That has to be understood.
Okay.
Now, some senior citizens we see in the park benches, when I go to the doctor, I am type 2 diabetic, I have been given this. You also have excess sugar levels which is not controlled. You can also try it. So that is not going to work.
Okay.
Even if it is Ayurveda or allopathy or Siddha or not. Because your composition is different, the other person's composition is different, and it is like that. And we need to customize everything as per an individual requirement. Now I address the third one, the difference between pharmaceuticals and nutraceutical. Anything which we call as a food substance, or which we call as a which we don't, the nutrients are not available in the food because of my lifestyle. Today I have to leave to office at 7 o'clock, I return by night 11 o'clock. I have to eat outside. I have to drink this many teas and this many coffees. There are certain social or societal requirements or decorum which I will have to manage. So I eat something which I don't like, and I have to manage my, because for me, economic success is the only success today. Ultimately, we spoil or screw our health, and we try to achieve that economic success. In the process, we spoil health. So I don't take a complete planned food, right? My meals is not well planned. It's not balanced diet. I should take a fair composition of, say, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, fibers, naturals, cooked foods, boiled foods, and all those things. And of course, fried items can also be there. But today, it is all biryani culture, samosa culture, chai pe charcha. So all those things are what all this is doing is they are all playing in my body. And as far as I am, till the age of 30 to 40, my body has a natural process of balance. So something goes bad, my body comes back and it balances by its natural process, and the process is called homeostasis. There is a balance. There is a pathogen entering my body, the immune system gets activated, they fight against the pathogen. There is a fever, and the fever is a reaction. It's a high increased temperature because the immunity is working in my body, right? So like that, the body, there are thousands of clots that are formed on a daily basis. I do like this, there is an injury here, there is a clot, there is an internal damage in the vasculature, and there is a clot that is formed, and the clot gets lysed automatically. And if the clot has to continue like that, then we would have to die every day 20 to 30 times minimum. There is an extent of imbalance that we can torture the body.
Okay.
When we go beyond that, the body cannot come back to its homeostasis. And when we substitute it with an external chemical substance, that's what we call as drug. And when it is going to be a material with nutrients or food or fiber, multivitamins, minerals, or omega-3 fatty acids, or anything that has to go from the food, we call it as a nutraceutical or a food supplement, right? So the chemical things can be called as the drug, and the food based things which I will have to get but I am not getting, I am providing it as a product, can be called as a nutraceutical or a.
Okay, so this again puts us back into the first question, that so ultimately if there is a gap and something that is going to fill up the gap becomes a medicine.
Yes.
So you put different names to it, saying that this is pharmaceutical class, this is nutraceutical class, and all that. Okay, maybe I'm putting you on the spot over here. So now I have an very curious question. Okay, maybe I'm not going to ask you to rate which system of drug is better than the other. I'm not going to ask whether allopathy is better than Ayurveda or Ayurveda is better than homeopathy, this XYZ. But what I would want to ask over here is, there is a common perception for everybody, including me, because I'm saying including me because still I'm in kind of, I'm not ready to accept certain things. Okay, there's a common perception among people that Ayurvedic medicines will not have any side effects. Okay.
Yes.
Whereas allopathic medicines will have side effects. This is one thing. Okay. And the second thing is, of course, we spoke about over-the-counter drugs and all that. I would like you to add a little bit upon what happens if you abuse over-the-counter drugs. Let's, for example, say someone is constantly taking an antacid syrup.
Right.
Where is that going to lead to? Because, I've seen people doing it.
Yes.
Okay. I have some acidity. They just gulp up some antacid syrup.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, you can maybe address this as a part of this question, but I'm trying to, hit the nail straight on its head. What does the other system of drugs have a side effect upon the body? Like, as far as I know, anything that you eat will definitely have a main effect and a side effect.
Yes.
Like, even if you're eating rice, anything that you eat too much of protein, you have some side effect.
Yes.
Okay, there is nothing that is foolproof or complete. So when that being the case, okay, what is the good and bad side of Ayurvedic drugs and the other drugs?
Right. Firstly, our body is a dynamic system. Like, it's a complex, mixture of more than one system. So it's all intertwined. And as I said, there is a balance which is very well set by, you call it as nature or God. There is a very well balanced system which is present inside the body. Right. So now, anything in excess is going to be a problem. Whether it is going to be carrot, whether it is going to be beetroots, it's going to be vitamin A, it's going to be alcohol, it's going to be tobacco, it's going to be paracetamol. Now, a simple example, let me tell you. We talk of some famous product, within moments, chutki mein aapka acidity kam kar dega. I would not like to take the brand, right? Anything you said, there is a gel or something that you consume for acidity, right? So that chutki mein kar dega, when you open the sachet, put it comes like a soft drink and you drink it over and you say 1 minute I get a relief. It can kill a person. Okay. Which we are not aware of. Okay. And it is called a OTC drug. There is a caution on top of the drug. Of course, nobody reads any conditions. Even in a home loan, when you read the conditions, you cannot sign the document like that.
It's like mutual fund investments are subject to market.
Whenever you talk of pharmacists, they say the pharmacist first talks about the side effects and he do not talk about. See, everything is a package. It is good, it has bad. So we cannot neglect the bad part of it and take only the good part of it. Of course, we wish to do that. Whatever I take, the good should be more and the bad should be less. It's not going to happen like that. When a person, say of 40 to 50 years old, comes to a medical shop and asks for that kind of an antacid or a product, first question should be, do you have hypertension? Because the product contains fruit salts. It's mentioned in that. And salt means it's going to be sodium bicarbonate because there is effervescence. Anything that has effervescence contains sodium bicarbonate and there is sodium into it, and more salts contain more amount of sodium. And when the person is having an uncontrolled hypertension or he is under cardiovascular medications where the BP should not shoot up, and there are people who take those things consistently.
Oh my God.
You have an ad and the ad says that it should not be consumed more than 2 to 3 sachets, and if the problem continues, go and consult a doctor. Any medication should not be taken beyond the prescribed levels, and any medication should not be stopped beyond the prescribed levels or before the prescribed levels, unless otherwise there is an allergy or a reaction, and that should be consulted with the doctor who takes care of it. So anything in excess, it's always good if it is all going to be in limits, because as I said, the body has got a natural balancing system called homeostasis. A somewhat excess the body can manage. Like, I load my body with more amount of food because the taste is very good and the digestive system is not going to work properly. Again, it leads to indigestion, it leads to constipation. Then I add on to some drugs, and we say that drugs have got side effects. Samosa completely fried in oil has got side effects. Masala dosa roasted like biscuit, opening like a biscuit has got side effects. The fried gobi 65, the chicken chili, the gobi 65 or a chicken 65, or anything that is fried or regular biryani eating has got its own side effect. Complete, you cannot take always ghee based food, that's got its own side. So It's all to be simple. There is a vehicle, you add petrol to it, and some vehicles, you will have to add the engine oil into the petrol. Now, if you add per liter more than 20 ml of engine oil, what's going to happen to that? Say somewhere it got mixed with some amount of water. Some amount of water, the engine can come back, but more amount of water. So 1 liter petrol and there it's going to be 200 ml of water. Some amount of sugar or salt. What will happen to the engine? The engine will not work properly, or the vehicle will cease to work, right? So the same case here. The body is a complex mixture which is controlled by various systems breaking down into organs, organs breaking down to tissues, tissues breaking down to cell. Cell is made up of water, oil, various components, sugar, salt, energy, everything. Whatever I am going to input, like the computer CPU, the body is going to process it, and there is going to be an output. The output can be energy, the output can be increased level of activity, the output can be sleep, the output can be toxic substances where I am going to die out of the toxic. The output can be anything. So this is just a processor, and the processor will process whatever you input, and whatever we input has to be in a balance, whether it is even exercise, walking, or whatsoever. Oversleeping is not advised.
Okay.
Overactivity is not advised.
Okay.
High amount of exercises without proper planning and practice is not advised.
True.
Continuing paracetamol for headache over 1 month is not advised. More than 3 grams of paracetamol in a day can cause liver damage.
My God.
So nothing in excess is advised, and there should always be a process. Even spirituality is a process.
Okay.
The same way, building a body, learning a lesson, or practicing life, it's all going to be processes. And in the process, the dose has to be proper and it has to be customized. I cannot give a article from New England Journal of Medicine to a 7th standard boy and tell him to understand, right? The dosage is going to be too heavy for it. So the way we undertake all the processes, it has to be followed in our health also. It's a process.
Okay, so I mean, I think we missed out slightly on this point. I want your view on Ayurvedic drugs and overdose of other system of drugs like Ayurveda, Unani, because there is a common assumption that I'm having Ayurvedic drugs or Ayurvedic medicines, I'm having this churnam or anything of that sort, or legium,
right?
Okay, and this has no side effects,
right?
And my Ayurvedic Vaidya told you can have it along with the allopathic drugs. Not all Ayurvedic Vaidyas.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I see, because for me, on a very personal note, Ayurveda and Siddha had helped me to a very great extent in coming out of my urticaria condition. Okay. So because it worked out for me, I'm just not someone who follows Ayurveda. I also believe in Ayurveda.
Right.
But at the same time, being a student of science,
right,
I am not ready to accept the fact that it is not going to have any side effect in your body, and you can have it along with whatever allopathic drugs you have.
Yes.
Maybe you can have it, you cannot have it. I don't know. Okay,
Right.
I'm leaving the question to you. Okay, and you can have it. It has. I mean, ये तो बिंदास है. There's no issues. இது சாப்பிட்டா எந்த பிரச்சனையும் இல்ல. So now what is your take on that?
No, 100% I would not agree with this fact that anything that goes from outside into the body will have it is a package. It will have its positives, it will have its negatives. Nothing can be in excess, nothing can be in less. Now, let me take a simple example of Chavanaprash.
Okay.
The Chavanaprash, there is a prescription for Chavanaprash. Like,
Okay.
how it has to be made. Maharshi Chavana has given a formula to make the prash. That is what is called the Chavanaprash.
Okay.
How much amla, how much honey, how much of salt, how much of other ingredients have to be put into them.
Okay.
Right? So they are also medicine. And early morning, empty stomach, before taking anything, one amla size of gooseberry size of Chavanaprash should be consumed on a daily basis. Considering that it is a good thing, it is not going to cause me any other problem. If I take it more, I am going to end up into problem. Right? So too much of any Siddha or Ayurveda is all. Let me give the other example. Now there are ginger tablets for indigestion, right? I consume ginger. I can consume it for 2 to 3 days or 5 days or 10 days so that my indigestion gets proper. The body's homeostasis will come up to the expectation with the help of ginger, for which I have to tailor my food. I have to change the other thing. And Ayurveda or Siddha or Unani comes with tags. We know that what should be consumed and what should not be consumed when we take an Ayurvedic drug. So decrease your tamarind levels. You should not consume Why? Because the Ayurveda drugs are influenced by tamarind levels in the stomach, acid
Okay.
levels in the stomach. They have to be, some product has to be consumed with hot water before food half an hour, and some product should be consumed with milk after food, after half an hour of taking food. Now, why do they say all those if everything is natural and everything can be consumed?
True.
So the timing matters, the activity or the lifestyle of the person matters, and the quantity also matters. Example, pudina oil. Pudina oil is good. It helps in, even if it is prescribed by allopathists for curing irritable bowel syndrome,
Okay.
which has got, it's a very complex disease where you will have to manage many. Taking ginger regularly may even lead to ulcer. Now, when you say Ayurveda or Siddha or natural medicines are going to be safe, how come ginger causes ulcer? It's in excess quantity. Ginger has got digestive properties, but if we abuse ginger, it's not going to give only digestive properties, it's going to have its own impact on, it will increase the acid secretion in the stomach. Once it increases and you are decreasing your food because of your indigestion and consistently doing this for 10 days, 15 days, it may lead to ulceration. So for that matter, you take any natural product, be it ginger, be it ghee, be it honey, be it peppermint oil, any product from the natural process also has got its good effects, but for a specific period of time. And that's why our food style is like, you take some rasam with this powders, and you take this in the starting, you take this in the ending. The entire meal was planned earlier. You should have this much carbohydrates, you should have this much proteins, and the lentils were added. Where if you are a vegetarian, the non-veg food is also added. When to take, you should not consume dahi in the night as per Ayurveda. So Ayurveda also is a science which is prescribed in a particular manner along with food instructions, before food, after food, and all those things. So when we say natural is all good, it is not going to be right. It's like fooling ourselves by saying that natural is all good. No, cactus exists naturally. Is it going to be good? There are seeds which you consume, you may die, and they are
Yes.
poisonous. So all natural is not going to be good.
No, not only seeds, I remember. So once we went to Yerkad, there was a huge flower over there. I don't know. I mean, if possible, I'll try to show that flower in the video. So there's a huge flower over there, and I believe if you go and smell that flower in the evening, you will start hallucinating.
Right, okay.
Okay, no, that's something natural.
Right. Yes.
And the flower looks really beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, so it was really interesting.
Tobacco is natural. Ganja
Marijuana is natural.
Yeah, marijuana is natural. So natural is good means no, it's not. Turmeric. When you consume more turmeric, turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, turmeric is antibacterial, turmeric is analgesic, turmeric is an antibiotic. What not is turmeric? Turmeric is everything. But regular consumption of raw turmeric or turmeric as powder can cause gastric ulcer.
And I've also come across, there's been a lot of viral video about turmeric and all that. So they say, there's a trend for turmeric.
Yeah.
Wherein you mix turmeric powder with water and drink it. But apparently, I think that is not good for your liver.
All this happened post-COVID.
Okay.
Where the largest selling product in US during COVID was, Haldi Doodh, which was prepared by a Gujarati in US, and that was the largest selling product there.
Business brains.
Yes. Right. So the thing is, that's what, when, what, where, how. So these questions are very important. When to use it, how much to use it, where to use it, who should use it in what dose. So all these things have to be tailor-made. Say, I cannot wear a shirt of 46 size or 38 size. If I need 42, I need 42. It's like trying to cut the body to that shape of the drug, which is not going to happen. So we need to understand that natural is not all safe. Natural is also products from natural conditions or natural sources do also have positive effects as well as negative. So what, where, when, how, who, and why.
So irrespective of whether it is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, homeopathy, allopathy, or any other
Tell me
pathy.
the homemade solution when somebody feels like vomiting, is not able to vomit. What do the people at house do? They feed
salt
him
water.
with salt water,
Yeah.
right? Why salt water creates vomiting? Now there, vomiting is expected, and so it is a positive effect. But when you consume excess salt, you vomit,
Yeah.
right? So excess of salt, but salt is natural. So I cannot consume more of salt or more of. Why sugar is advised to be taken less in diabetics? Sugar is natural, right? If you are not talking about the refined sugar, talk about the natural palm sugar. Palm sugar is also sugar.
Yeah.
Let us agree to that.
Yeah.
And more than that, one common myth which people think is, diabetic people taking rice, it's of more calories, and then the wheat is having less glycemic index. The quantity of consumption of rice and the wheat varies. Wheat you don't consume more because it requires more water to be consumed, so you feel full. But whereas rice, when it is already boiled in water, so you feel like it is a part of your body, so you consume.
You'll have to build a tower out of rice.
The difference in glycemic index is very less, but it's not so high that. But then consider the gluten that comes with wheat. So I cannot blanketly say, take wheat because you are diabetic. No, take rice if you like rice in diabetes, but have a limit. Now, what is a portion of rice is this much. Portion of rice I cannot consider this much, right? So what you will have to take is that. Otherwise, when a doctor says, you have to take this medicine like this, the patient asks, when should I take, before food or after food? The doctor said you should never take food, only take this medicine. So we'll end up with that kind of a condition.
So I can come to the understanding that irrespective of the school of thought of the drug or school of science of the drug is going to have a side effect.
Yes.
Just like how it has a positive effect.
Yes.
It is going to have a side effect.
Yes.
Okay. So just because it comes from a plant source, it doesn't mean that it is foolproof.
Yes.
Okay. That is point number one. But on the other side, what you also told was the other systems. Okay, if I don't know if that is what you exactly wanted to tell. Right. This is what I am inferring.
Right.
So the other systems like Siddha, Ayurveda, Unani, they have a complementary approach to the drug in the form of modifying the patient's diet.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that lacks in allopathy?
No, not at all. Not at all, because here also, whenever you go to a hospital or consult with a doctor, well documented, for every disease, for every drug, there is a particular diet that is being prescribed. You can consume grape juice with this. You should not consume grape juice. You should avoid citrus fruits. You should not take coconut water. Low salt containing diet, low fat containing diet. Take diet which contains more of omega-3 fatty acids. Take fish and take more of lentils. Decrease the protein content in acute kidney diseases and decrease the sodium content. So there is a prescription for food also, which is, there is a separate dietitian or a nutritionist who is sitting to manage all this in the hospital. So they advise that. Apart from that, as I said, the doctor of pharmacists who are coming out now, they customize it for the particular patient.
Okay.
Like, I cannot resist taking rice though I am a diabetic. Then how to take rice? What should be the quantity? In what forms I can take? Should I take it as more of idlis or more of boiled rice or raw rice? What rice? Red rice or no? Nowadays the old materials have also popped up. The rice varieties which used to be in the past in the southern part of India, they contain more of fibers than the refined rice that we have today. So, that is there, and they also practice it separately. Normally, they say, whenever we go to a doctor for a fever or something, even for the kids, they say kanji or, barley water, or, barley water will help us in excreting excess fluids in the body.
Okay.
So for edema of the lower leg, if the patient other conditions are agreeable, then barley water can be. The same way gripe water, we talk about natural Oma water. So all these are already available. And allopathy also equally focuses on the diet system too, along with the drug and treating the disease.
It focuses equally, but I'm like, I want to seriously have a reality check over here, because I come from a proper fitness background.
Right.
What we feel is, irrespective of the conditions in many a times. Okay. Let's, for example, I'll also take the question to a next level. There's a diabetic patient who's on oral hypoglycemic drugs, something like metformin.
Right.
Okay. So the doctor says, depending upon what the condition is, they say, 500 mg.
Right.
2 times a day, 3 times a day, depending upon what the condition is. And they say, and they blindly, telling that they blindly say is a huge question mark. Right. There's a very common statement.
Right.
Okay. Saying that you walk for 5 kilometers.
Right.
Okay. See, I also understand the plight of doctors and people who are the, flag bearers of the healthcare
Right.
system, because I feel in India they are overburdened
Right.
compared to the other countries. Though in India per se the medical cost, I mean, you have people doing medical tourism to
Yes,
India.
yes.
Though the healthcare cost is less,
Right.
I feel they are genuinely overburdened.
Yes.
Okay, and many a times, come on, they're also human beings. There
Yes.
can be oversight errors. I
Yes.
mean, I'm not trying to blame them over here, but
Right.
what I feel is
Hmm.
there is a gap over there. That is point number one. And on the patient side, so just like how you told, they're not concerned about how many samosas they eat.
Right.
They're not concerned about how much biryani they have. Okay, or they are not even concerned about how much curd rice they have.
Right. Right.
Excess of curd rice is also bad.
Yes.
Excess of biryani is
Yes,
also bad. I
yes,
mean,
yes.
it's no harm to anybody over
Right,
here.
right.
So now the question, they have 2-3 questions over here. Number one,
Hmm.
is the drug that you take independent of the lifestyle that you lead?
Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
so people have this very popular opinion in Hindi. People will be like, अरे यार मैं ये तो गोली खा रहा हूँ, सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, बढ़िया है. गोली का काम क्या है?
Right.
मुझे ठीक करना है ना ना मन सापड़ना है.
Right.
சரியா போய்டும்.
Yes.
Okay, and they take zero care of their lifestyle. I really mean it.
Yes.
Okay, number two, up to what extent does this having a medicine before food or after food matters?
Okay.
Because I feel, sometimes many people சாப்பிட்றதுக்கு, they say they gave me 5 tablets before
Right.
food, they gave me 5 tablets after food. I'm putting 10, taking
Yes.
it off.
Right.
Okay, I'm like, boss,
Right.
this is wrong. And number 3, so can you elaborate more
Okay.
on the food and drug interaction,
Okay.
or the drug and drug interaction,
Right.
and the corresponding side effects? Okay.
Right.
I think from there I have something more interesting to talk
Okay.
about fitness. I think I'll leave it to you
Yeah.
from here, so that
Right. So the first question is the drug independent of the lifestyle. The most important and the valid thing which everyone forgets is this: whatever I do, I'll be continuing that, and the drug should correct them. And you are a complex mechanism, and as we said, whatever is inputted, the body is going to process and it's going to give an output. Physical activity is an input. What we see is an input. To talk of psychology, influence of psychology, we see in the food supply ads, the chicken leg and the way it is being done, the ads of the various multinational companies, doll sitting outside, and it's so
Happy
creamy.
Meal.
The ice cream, a small ice cream of 10 rupees will be shown as if it is a half-liter ice cream. We eat first by vision.
okay.
So we expect it to be decorated. The same thing has now come into the homes also. When the food is also good, it's good for health. I expect it to be, decorated, right? So otherwise, I feel like it is not up to the mark, right? So garnishing has become a separate industry today, because we first eat. Our appetite is in the eyes first. Next thing which we forget is the taste is only in the tongue. Below this, there is nothing called taste. Whatever you take, a jalebi or a samosa or a chicken or a mutton or whatsoever it is going to get in, even a tulsi leaf or whatever, vilva patra, whatever it is, it's all same after this. The taste is only here. So these are the two things which influence us, the psychology of food, right? So whatever goes in is going to be processed. So whatever goes in, physical activity is also an input. My eyes is also sending an input. Smell, the flavor is also sending an input. The taste is also sending an input. So I consume to satisfy or gratify all these senses. What I see, what I hear, what I listen, what was in the advertisement. I dream of something, and then I get into the food plate with all those things. Everything is going to influence. There is a famous practice in the Indian food where you should not talk while taking food, number one, because the airway will also be opened and it may disturb, and some food particle may get into that, which may cause bigger problems. Number one, there should be focus, and I should be mindful of what I am eating. So mindful means, what do I take, how much vegetables, what should be the rice, how much should be the curd, how much should be the sambar, how much should be the non-veg portion. That's what is mindfulness. But I consume my food today in the hectic environment, where the restaurants have got the dimmed light which I cannot see whether a fly is sitting in my plate or whether there is a screw, or I'm taking the right. The lighting is so, and I feel a discotheque or a bar or somewhere where the lighting is dim, the environment is like that. That's what is happiness. So my happiness bar is set somewhere else with which I consume.